Good morning, everybody. Paul is here in New Jersey, and I just wanted to let people know, if they don't already, that some of the great artists of the Silver Age are still with us and still working, namely Steve Ditko. Recently, I obtained an order from his publishing company. Steve Ditko and his business partner, Snyder, have been publishing since the 80s. And Mr. Ditko at 90 is still producing great work. So I figured I would show everybody what I've gotten in the last week. One of his classic characters, going back years to the, I guess, back to the 60s, Charlton years, is the Mysterious Traveler. And I got issue 19, which is the latest, and issue 16, which was from 2015. Now, these covers are a few years old. This is a cover brought back from 1985 that he sort of redid for 2015. And this one goes back even deeper. But when you get inside, there is a combination of both reprint and new work. So you get a collection of things that you haven't seen for a number of years, and then you'll get something like this type of a one-pager or two-pager, The Shadow Knows, which was drawn by Steve Ditko in 2016. Mr. A, number 7, the 50th anniversary issue of Mr. A. One of Steve Ditko's great characters. Of course, there have been many, but that within his fan group, people are very enamored with, is Mr. A. And he fights on the side of what is right against what is wrong. And time just flies right on by. This is the 50th anniversary issue of Mr. A. And it's also in a format that Ditko and Snyder have started following lately, which is a $1 increase in cover price, but 16 more pages. So you can now get a 48-page comic for $5 rather than a 32-page comic for $4. Both formats are still being published. Unlike the comics you buy today, there is no advertisements. So you're talking pure editorial, plus sometimes some essays and commentary from either Snyder or Steve Ditko himself. They're very attentive to the contributions of fans, as the Kickstarter campaigns that kick off books such as Mr. A number 7. Each and every contributor is recognized in the back, which is very nice. Lastly, I have number 26, and it doesn't have any name other than a numbering system. These are more of the anthologies that Steve Ditko has kind of become famous for in the last 30 years. Some of them are editorials of his own points of view. Many of them teach lessons on a particular subject. And these are all, most of them at least, spanking new work. Who thought that you would get a Steve Ditko cover from 2018? But here it is. And here's what he is up to. Still at it, still going strong. Very traditional, some 9-panel comic reading, linear stories, but stories that make you think a lot nonetheless. If you go to the Snyder Ditko website, and I think if you just Google Snyder Ditko, you'll find it. SNYDER Ditko. You can still buy a number of previous publications. This one, I bought this one over 15 years ago, where it was a 160-page package, which has a number of stories and anthologies all mixed in for $12. And it was done in 1999. I bought it when it was new, and you can still get this on the website. So they ordered ample to keep the fans' interest going and to keep the artwork coming. Snyder also publishes with other people's contributions, including Ditko and some of the fans, a newsletter fanzine called The Comics. And you get sometimes a combination of artwork that happens to please them or be of interest that they'd like people to look at. That's the good thing. When you're part of the Snyder and Ditko fan group, you also learn about other things that other artists are doing. It's not all about them and promoting themselves. People know who Steve Ditko is, and he's very eager to pass the rub on to other artists and expose people to something that maybe they hadn't seen before. You get a lot of letters to the editor and checklists of what is available on the website. So that is called The Comics, and that is Robin Snyder's newsletter fanzine. This is the February 2018 edition, so you can get the newest one whenever you make a purchase, and oftentimes some extras get thrown in by Mr. Snyder or those who package his orders for him, and you can even pick up back issues of the Comics newsletter, which are always interesting to look at. So that's my story for today. I wanted to keep people abreast of what our comic history and the elders of our business are still up to, and it's nice to see Steve Ditko going strong after all these years. Naturally, we love his Spider-Man work, and then even things into the 70s and 80s. Some people like Shade the Changing Man, or even Speedball that he did for Marvel, but he has been quite active since the 70s and 80s publishing his own material, and I recommend people check it out. It may not be for everybody, but it's definitely an interesting read, a very thoughtful read, and a nice way to visit an old friend. So take care.